Good afternoon, YouTube. Man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, it is the biggest weekend of this year. It is one of the last few shows that's a qualification for this year's Olympia. But, you know, it is a great event. It is the Rising Phoenix / Arizona Pro. But, as you know, the big show is truly the Rising Phoenix. Arizona Pro, I do another video for that one. That's for all the other divisions. But the Rising Phoenix is a show that came in like about, can you believe, 12 years ago. When, as you remember, the IFBB quietly worked behind the women's bodybuilding and stabbing the heart. And shout out to Jake Wood. Yo, Jake! Yo, Jake! He created this show for women's bodybuilding as a replacement to shows like the Olympia and also Miss International, who were very top level Olympic qualifiers for the women's bodybuilding division. So, you know, the list was already out earlier this year, but then it reformatted. Some competitors came on, some competitors dropped off. It was originally going to be at least at one point a little over nearly 20 women for a show. Plus, you get the winner of the Miss International, which moved from the Chicago Pro to the Rising Phoenix weekend. So whoever wins the women's bodybuilding division get their pro card. And I hope you have a stacked amount of competitors that will get at least more than one pro. So anyway, the list came out. It's been updated. Now, you see regionally there's some ladies on here and some ladies that were added and some ladies will take off. But here's ladies who are competing this weekend for qualification. Also, the show is qualification for top three. You know, who top three makes it, they get a bye to Olympia. As you know, the first person on the list is my girlfriend, the lovely Mrs. Andrea Shaw. You know, she's already a champion. She won the show back in 2025. As you know, last year they changed it, supposed to be more of an open show, but we only had like 5 competitors. And this year it's going back to the original format of invitational. So she's there on top, and knowing most definitely she's going to win. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. She's winning. She's winning. Next up, we have is Mayla Ash. Now, Mayla's been busy. Earlier this year, she did the Triple O, where she competed in both the Open and the Masters. And then it wasn't no more than a couple of weeks ago, she did the Atlanta Pro. Didn't do as well. Yeah, I think she was in the second call-outs and next to last on the lineup. Next up is Lavinia Abados. As you know, Lavinia, she last competed show back in 2024, and then she got her Olympic qualification last year. She was top 3 in the world in women's bodybuilding. That's pretty good. You know, she climbed up from the top. You know, she won Tampa. I was at Tampa when she won her Olympic qualification for that year's Olympia. Amazing young lady. She works with the Dom Slice of Best Built team. You know, they've been doing have a lot of quiet competitors. And she's still a young woman doing pretty well in her division. Next up is Natia Capasoto. If you know her, she's been in the game for quite a bit. You know, Nana has been a 4-time Olympian qualified athlete. She's been to the Rising Phoenix. Last time I believe was in 2022. She took a break for a bit, then she came back and she won at the Toronto Super Show. Also, I think she's planning on competing next weekend at the Alina Popa Classic. Next up we have is Nikki Chartrand. Now, Nikki, she's been kind of inactive for a few years, but she's making a return. Now, she was in the top 10 at the Toronto Super Show, because you know Nikki's originally from Canada, and that's her home country. And she's making a return to the Rising Phoenix. I think last time she competed was back maybe in, I think, 2022 or 2021. It's been a long time. You know, and also she was second runner-up to Michaela Aycock in 2023. First runner-up, at the Tampa Bay Pro. I was sure she was going to get a qualification there, but I hope she does well at the show. Next up, we have Chelsea Dion. We haven't seen Chelsea in a while. You know, she competed last in 2024. She took a break last year. She got 2 qualifications in 2020. Was it 2020? Yeah, 2025. No, 2025 at the both at the the Vancouver Island Show and the New York Pro Show. Amazing young lady, great physique. Now, this is going to be her first show for the season, so it's going to be tight. So maybe we might see her pop in another show, which for qualification for next year. Next up, we have Salika Givens. You know, Salika, she's been doing pretty good. You know, last year, She won her first qualification at the Triple Dynasty, also in the Masters qualification, and she took second at the Masters show to Tiana Flex. And this is going to be her second show. Earlier this year she did the Triple O, where she competed both the Open and the Masters, and now she's trying to get another shot back to Olympia. Probably wish she did Atlanta. I mean, she might get that qualification, but it's going to be tight. But there's still some shows that can give her a qualification for next year's Olympia. We have his Patty Hansen, and Patty hadn't been this show. I think last year she been was 2021, and that was the year when she won her pro card at the Miss International at Chicago Pro, and she made her pro debut at the Rising Phoenix. She's also qualified for next year's Master Olympia. She's been active. She did both the Triple O, and a couple of weeks ago she was at the Atlanta Pro, where she was top three in both those shows. Next up is Haley McGrath. We haven't seen her some time ago. I think last year she competed was maybe around 2021. She was once in women's physique, but then switched over to women's bodybuilder, and now she's making a return, and she got invited to this show. Next up is a big surpriser, folks. This is a big surpriser. Dr. Megan Morrison, best known as Dr. Meg or Dr. Santa Barbara. This is going to be her women's bodybuilding debut. As you know, last year she made her Olympic qualification at Tampa, winning the actually not Tampa. She made she competed at Tampa, then got a qualification in Atlanta, and she competed in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, but didn't get the qualification at that show, and now she switched over to women's bodybuilding, and that was big news. We heard she was making the switch. There was some hesitation from what I'm hearing, but now she's going to be debuting here, and there's a possibility, depending on what she brings to the table, she might get a second good look for qualification and the first one for women's bodybuilding. Next up we have is Shishiro Nakajima. I want to get a name right. As you know, she's originally from Japan. She turned pro last year and made a pro debut at the Chicago Pro in women's physique. But then she made an announcement she was going to compete in women's bodybuilding, where she competed at the Atlanta Pro, didn't do as well, and she got the special invite, just like Megan, to compete at this year's Rising Phoenix. Well, best of luck and konnichiwa. Next up we have is my dear friend and lovely Mrs. Gabriella Morrison. She's also Morrison too, but you might know her as Gabriella Vega. Now, Gabby, she's been busy. Not only she was at Toronto, she did also the Atlanta, and also she was at the Tampa Bay Pro, where she best showing. She was in the top 5 at that show. She's also qualified for next year's Masters Olympia. As you know, she's one of the sponsored athletes of the Behind the Physique that's being promoted by Kelly Larkin, which is a documentary about women's bodybuilding, prepping for the season. And also, she's working with the transformation team that is Helen Trevino and Gina Carverio. And shout out to those two ladies. They're doing pretty good what they're doing and coaching competitors. She's an amazing lady. I hope she does well. Maybe even crack into the top 10 if it's possible. Next up, the lady who's been a guest on my channel a couple of times. She's the amazing, lovely Mrs. Sherry Pirami. As you know, Miss Pirami took a break last year after dealing with some medical issues. And she returned at Tampa. Didn't do too well. Bounced back a bit at Atlanta, getting the top 5. And this is going to be her, I believe, her second time doing her third time doing the Rising Phoenix. Amazing lady, great physique, great all look. There's talks that this might be her final competitive years. I think she's thinking about retiring, step away from competitive bodybuilding. But you never know. There's still at least a few shows post after Olympia that she can pop in and maybe get a qualification for next year's Olympia. But shout out to Sherry. I hope she does well. Next up we have is Dr. Kian Squarey. Now, Dr. Squarey was busy too herself. She did the Toronto Super Show, where she competed both the Opens and the Masters. And also she competed both the Opens and Masters at the Tampa Bay Pro. I got some information that she might be doing another show after this one, and she got invited. And she's a great lady. She's a neurologist out of Newfoundland, and amazing person. I mean, great opportunity to have her as a guest on my channel. Next up we have is Rania Tambaskin. As you know, Rania, she made her pro debut last year at Tampa. She was in the top 3 at that show, and also she was top 3 at the Atlanta Pro. And this is her first invite to the Rising Phoenix. Amazing lady, great physique, great overall look. Hope she does well. She could be one of those ladies that could possibly get that Olympia qualifications. With Andrea being in the lineup, it's the only way to go be 2 qualifications. So and then you have Nadia, who's also qualified. So it might be down to 1. But it's all depending on what these ladies are going to bring and possibly get those last 2 spots. And also we have the lady who have been a guest on my channel quite a few times, the lovely Marilyn Yee. Now, Marilyn, this is her first invite to the Rising Phoenix. She did a couple of shows last year. She in mass competition. She competed at the Grand Prix, which is gone now. It's now switched over to Fit Model. And she also was second to Ashley Jones at the Steve Carr show. Impressive lady, great overall physique. A lady originally from Hong Kong. She's Chinese. We have two women of Asian descent competing in this show. That's amazing. That means that's when bodybuilders have gone worldwide. But I hope she does well. She was close to getting qualification at the Steve Carr. It was for Ashley Jones, who's already qualified for the Olympia. But maybe Steve Carr is coming around again and a couple of shows. Maybe she might get that other shot to try to get Olympic qualification. But shout out to Marilyn Yee, and I think she's a great lady. Now, the show's going to be tomorrow. As you know, they are on a different time zone because it's in Arizona. They're on the Pacific time. So the show's going to start, I think, around about 10 o'clock their time, which is going to be, 12 our time. Or so I think it's going to be 9 o'clock our time, 11 their time, whichever. I figured out time zone. But I am going to watch it. I was kind of hesitant because, I'm planning on going on my trip to Pittsburgh. But you know what? This is a big event, especially for women's bodybuilding. Women in general don't have their own stage. It's always shared with the banana hammers and board shorts. And the Rising Phoenix, that show is exclusively for ladies. From everything from the NPC all the way down to IFBB. All ladies show. Even the judge lineup is all ladies. The head judge is Sandy Williamson. She's been there quite a few times. So this is great. This is truly a ladies' day. Maybe someday in the future, financials, right, things go work out. I would love to go to the Arizona Pro and check it out. Meet Jake. Yo, Jake. I want that money. I want that gun. I can't help myself every time I think about that man. But check it out. Support both the Arizona Pro and the Rising Phoenix show. As I'm going to do a separate video, which is going to be for the Rising Phoenix. Sorry, for the Arizona Pro. And this was exclusive for the Rising Phoenix, the show that started off for the other divisions. Anyway, shout out to the competitors. Shout out to all the ladies. And also shout out to my lady, the lovely Miss Andrea Shaw. This is Mellow Richards page, a.k.a. the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I'm out.